Well, hello, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to our Maundy Thursday service preceding Easter. And a little bit about Maundy Thursday. The word Maundy comes to us from an Anglo-French term, and it's derived from the Latin word mandatum. This word means commandment, and it refers to Jesus in the upper room during the Last Supper, when Jesus said to the disciples, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another." And a lot of faith traditions, they celebrate Maundy Thursday by commemorating the Last Supper with a communion service. Some congregations, they do a foot washing ceremony, which both these events took place in this time frame. Today, I would like to focus on the foot washing portion of it. And I know normally in church we might do something like that, and as in other churches. But today, I think the symbology and the theme that I'd like to focus on for Maundy Thursday is service. And so we begin in John chapter 13. And the story goes, "Now before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from the world and go in to the Father. Having loved his own whom were in the world, he loved them to the end. The devil had already put into the heart of Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray him. And during the supper, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands to God, got up from the table and took off his outer robe. He tied a towel around himself, then he poured the water into the basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, 'Lord, are you going to wash my feet?' And Jesus answered, 'You do not know what I am doing, but later you will understand.' Peter said to him, 'You will never wash my feet.' Jesus said to him, 'Unless I wash you, you have no share with me.' Simon Peter said to him, 'Lord, not my feet, but also my hands and my head.' And Jesus said to him, 'One who is bathed does not need to wash except for the feet, but is entirely clean. And you are clean through not all of you.' For he knew which one was to betray him. For the reason he said, 'Not all of you.'" Now we move on from the betrayal of Judas, because that gets us into a whole nother story. And we go into the new commandment. So when he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. And if God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and will glorify him at once. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and as you will look for me a little longer, you will look for me, and as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another just as I have loved you, and you also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, and if you have love for one another." And in Unity, we have a way we look at the Bible. And I know we hear these words of sin and Satan and the devil, these different words, and they could ignite triggers in us. But in Unity, we have a metaphysical way of looking at things. And the beauty of this passage, especially in context of Peter and Jesus washing the feet, is that I view it as wholeness. We have Christ at the head, and we have our feet that are connected to the earth. And so it presents itself a pattern or a circle, and Christ is demonstrating this pattern of wholeness, that in a sense that he is going down to the part of the feet that connect that connect us to the earth, that connect us to materiality, and bringing into that wholeness, showing us that connection with God. Also, the foot washing demonstrates that we need to be clean for what's coming next. So it's like a snake. We shed our skins constantly. We shed our skins of false beliefs. We shed our skins of false ego and false pride. We shed our skins of personality and complete into that cycle of transformation. In the book, The Week That Changed the World, Ernest C. Wilson, a noted Unity minister, states, "Here is one of the most challenging admonitions in Christian living. If you know these things, blessed are you that do them." Emerson was the phrase that if you have a light, you must bear witness to the light. And a famous preacher, Daniel Poling, tells us about how this young man once asked for an appointment with him in his study, an indication the youth considered the proposed meeting of special import. "Dad, how much do you know about God?" He challenged wisely. The father answered, "Well, not very much, but what I do know makes a lot of difference." Unity principle number 4 states, it's not enough to know the spiritual truths that we study, but that we need to bring them into activity into the world. What we do know about Christ and God, he goes on to say, may often seem to us to be very little compared to all there must be to know. What is individually important to us is the use that we make of what we know. When we think of the outstanding service that some persons has given to the world, or great overcomings of illness or poverty, or other handicaps, we find that God shows no partiality. That these doers are not always the most erudite or wealthiest or most physically attractive, but often persons of a lowly background, members of minority races or faiths, even victims or persons with some handicap, who yet have come through the great tribulation as the Master describes it. Jesus told his disciples, "He that would be first must be the last." And so in washing the feet of his disciples, after they had supper together, he was demonstrating that principle of the servant leader. In service to others, we build and cultivate our faith as well. So if we find that we're lacking in faith, we might want to take a look at how our activity in the outside is presenting itself based on what we know. Service. Jesus gave the great commandments to love your God with all your heart, all your might, and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. As you recognize, and also too, this applies, as I said in one of my talks, internally and externally. As we recognize and love God, the Christ, that living Christ within ourselves, we're able to see that reflection of the Christ in others. And now we are going to go into a time of meditation. So I invite you to get comfortable wherever you may be. Sit back and just start to connect with your breath. Take a deep breath in and release. Take a deep breath in and release. Start to feel your feet ground onto the floor, feel them almost glued, and feel that tickling of energy. Feel that water, that living water of energy, cleansing, starting at your feet, and gently moving up your ankles, moving through your calves, up through your knees. Feel that energy go through your thighs and up through your hips. And it's just you keep breathing in and out. Let it move through your torso, your stomach. feel yourself warming with that warm water and energy of spirit climbing through your chest and into your heart and circulating through your arms and your fingers as it moves up the back of your neck and up your spine. And finally, you feel it move into your head space, connecting that Christ presence of your head, and in that little small space in your mind, that living Christ energy, feel it connect you with the ground and your surroundings around you. Connect with your breath. Take a deep breath in. Hold it for a moment and let it out. Another deep breath in and release. Feeling yourself just sink back into that heart space, that divine sanctuary, the inner room. We go into that secret space and let the words I now speak in prayer become your words as they mingle with your heart space. Father, Mother, God, help me to be faithful to the truth I know, and let my knowledge increase according to my faith. With the Christ, I would be an overcomer, a doer of his word, and not a hearer only. Let me be a channel of blessing to those around me, serving as I should like to be served, loving as I should like to be loved, and understanding as I should like to be understood, doing the best I know and leaving the results to you. And let's take that into the silence, into the silence, into the silence. Father, Mother, God, help us to be faithful to the truth we know, and let our knowledge increase according to our faith. With your Christ presence, we would be overcomers, doers of the word and not a hearer only. Let us be a channel of blessings to those around us, serving as we would like to be served, loving as we should like to be loved, understanding as we should like to be understood, doing the best we know, and leaving the results to you. Breathe into that. Now, as we begin to come out of the sanctuary with a deeper knowledge and discernment of how to be of service, how to be that channel of blessings that God calls us to be, we begin to come back into the now moment, into where we're at. Invite you to open your eyes when you feel ready. Just gently move around a little bit, maybe wiggle your fingers or wiggle your toes. Just kind of bring yourself back into the now moment. The commandment is to love God with all your heart, all your energy, and all your soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. As we move forward into these final days of our Lenten season, be mindful of the opportunities for service that come your way in every aspect of your life, in every place you are. Go forth and be those emissaries of peace. Be the servant leaders you are called to be. And be blessed. Namaste.